this week I had COVID, so it tried to get me down, and I was in solitary confinement in a house arrest from when I got out of church Sunday until prison. I said prison. House arrest is like prison, right? Paul was there. He wrote a lot of the Bible there, so. But and so I was down on house arrest till Friday, and man, I tell you what, I needed that. I needed that. I really did. I listened to a book. I studied a lot. I worshiped. I prayed. I spent a lot of time with God. And I was laying there one day, and I was reflecting on my life. I was just thinking, reflecting, and I was thinking, and I began to think about what was important to me, like what matters to me, And in my head, right, of course, everybody says, and everybody knows it's supposed to be God's first, right? And you got your spouse second, and you got your kids, and then you got, your ministry, your church, whatever, that's the priority order that's supposed to be. And in my head, that's definitely what it was. And I began to think, and I was laying there, and God began dealing with me, and I was thinking about my girls, and that they're older now, 19, 21. And I started thinking about, God, I wish I would have done this differently, and I wish I would have done that differently. And I mean, I know that God's first in my life, but how much time does he really get? How much time do I really spend with him? And then I began thinking, and then, of course, my wife's second, but, man, she's always on the back burner, like we can be having dinner, just her and I, and a phone will ring or a text will come in or somebody needs something, and it's like the kids need something. How many times you get interrupted by your children when you're trying to have a conversation with your spouse, And then I think about, well, what about your kids? I mean, they're really important to you, and I mean, they're not kids anymore, but they'll always be my babies, and it's like, yeah, but when they were little, they were so much. I mean, we had 4 teenage girls, y'all. Some of y'all got 1. Y'all need to be thanking yourself. I had 4 at the same time. Okay, a lot. And but and when they were little, it was a lot, and we were rushing, and we were doing, and we were always doing something, and everybody always needed something. And then they became teenagers, and then they hated us. They didn't want nothing to do with us. Couldn't barely get them to talk to us, right? And now they're adults, and they got lives, and it's like, God, I wish I would have done so many things different. And I just began to cry, and tears just streaming down my face, and I'm just like, God, I wish I would have. Wish I would have. I wish I would have. And I heard him speak to me, and he said, take that regret and that pain that you feel right now and do something different. Use it as a motivation for change. Use it for a motivation of change. We all get busy in life, right? I mean, have you ever seen somebody you hadn't seen in a while, or at Walmart or work? For me, it'd probably be the courthouse. And or here even, you may walk up to somebody, hey, how you doing? How's it going? They'll say, oh, it's going good. I'm just busy. Right? How many times do you hear that? It's good. I'm good. I'm just busy. I mean, I was doing some research this week. Do you know that the average person uses them cell phones, they touch them over 2,600 times a day? 2,600 times a day we touch our smartphone. Do you know that the average adult spends 6 to 8 hours a week playing video games? Have you ever been at dinner with your family, sitting around the table with friends maybe, and noticed that every single person is on their phone at dinner? Like we're at Longhorns. We're all here to have a good time. We're trying to talk, right? We're trying to spend some time together. And you look up, and everybody's on their phone, doing their own thing, right? Just whatever. The average adult spends somewhere between 30 and 35 hours a week watching television. I didn't make these statistics up, okay? 30 to 35 hours a week watching television. The average adult spends 2 hours and 24 minutes per day on social media. 2 hours and 24 minutes a day. Facebook. See, this is the average. Some of y'all way exceed that. The problem is we're so distracted that we're not present in the moments of our lives. One day when I broke out of jail, really kind of a little bit early, but it's okay because I went to the drive-thru. I took Zane to school, and we went to Dunkin' Donuts, and they told us to go, and this is not like, I feel like this is an advertisement for all these restaurants. It's really not. It's really not. But we placed our order, we paid, and they said, well, pull up over there and go wait over there in that parking spot. And so we did, and we went and sat there, and we were really getting close to being late for school, and it's really important that fourth graders are on time. And so, I was really just, checking my clock. And then God had been dealing with me this. This was like Wednesday, and so God had been talking to me about this, since Monday. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, wait a minute, that road's closed, so I can't go that way. How am I going to get there? And I'm like, am I going to go this way? And then am I going to go that way? And how am I going to get there? And that's going to take me more time. And where are these people with my food? And when they just took the food to the person next door, why didn't they bring me my food? And why didn't I just go in? And I could have just wore a mask. And God said, stop. Your 9-year-old son is in the seat beside you. Why are you worried about what's going to happen in 5 minutes, or if he's 5 minutes late to fourth grade? Why do you care? What if you just said, hey, buddy, what do you think's going to happen today? You going to make a new friend today? Are you worried about anything? What's going on in your life? What if you just took a few minutes to talk to your son instead of worrying and trying to figure out the next minute, the next 5 minutes, the next 10 minutes? What if some of y'all would just lock in for the next 45 minutes and not worry about 12:01 and hear what God is wanting to tell you this morning? Y'all, it's so bad. These phones, it's a constant dopamine rush in our brains. You can't even go to the bathroom without it. Right? Be honest. How many of you pick up your phone just to go sit on the toilet? It's an addiction. It's bad. And then we say we don't have time to pray. We don't have time to work out. We don't have time to cook a home-cooked meal. We don't have time to sit by ourselves and just talk to God. We don't have time to study the Bible. We don't have time to do that. Did you just hear the statistics I said about where our lives are going? But we don't have time to do the one thing that we need more than anything else in the world. And y'all, if we're honest, we're tired. We are exhausted. I mean, I'll just talk about myself. You get up in the morning to this alarm clock that wakes you up, and you go, really? It's that time already? It's time to get up? Okay, well, we get up, and then, I go work out, and then we come home, and we get in a shower, and then there's lunches to be made, and there's kids to get to school, and then there's an office to go to, or if you're a stay-at-home mom, there's laundry to do, and there's floors to clean, and there's bathrooms that need done, and there's little kids that need tending to, and then the school calls because one's sick, or there's a doctor's appointment, or a counseling appointment, and then there's lunch, and then there's the afternoon. Then you got to go pick them up. Whoa, wait a minute. What about groceries? We didn't get that yet. We got to go to Walmart. We got to go to Kroger. We got to go get our groceries. And then we got the friend that calls that's got the problem, or we got the email we got to respond to, or we got the problem with the person at church that needs us. And then we got the work, the client, the emergency that just walked in the door. And then it's finally time to go home, and so we get home. And then the kids are coming running at us because they need our time because they haven't seen us all day, and they miss us, and we miss them. And then there's dinner because you got to eat, and you got to feed your kids. And then there's a friend that calls because there's this problem, or there's your wife calls because it tells you that something's going on, or the kids got sports. I mean, if you got kids that are in sports right now, multiply everything I said by 10 per kid. Amen. right? Because you don't get to eat dinner at home unless you got a crock pot, right? You're going through a drive-through, and then you're getting home late at night, and then guess what? Then there's baths. And then there's, bedtime stories. Then we got to pray with our children, which we should do. And then we need to read the Bible with them, which we need to do. And there's all these things. And then finally we sit down on the couch for 10 minutes of quiet, just quiet. And our minds are so tired that the TV is just on, but we're not really watching it. Probably because we got our phone in our hand too. And we're so tired that we can't even turn the TV off to go to sleep. We just fall asleep and we'll wake up at 2 a.m. and the TV's on. Anybody? Y'all, I did that so much over Christmas break when I'm supposed to have all this time off from work that I went to sleep in my clothes one night. I was so tired. She did it too the same night. We were so tired that we literally laid down with the clothes that we had on our body all day. Don't worry, we washed the sheets the next day. You don't have to worry. But we laid down with our clothes on our body because we were so tired, exhausted. And then even if we get up and we take a shower and we drink coffee and we do this all over again all the time, our minds are awake, but our souls are empty. Our souls are tired. And then if we do take some time to pray and to spend some time with God, we can get the external quiet for a little while. But then it's the internal that's just driving us crazy. The thoughts, the worrying, the obsessing, the what are we going to do? What about the dishes? What about the laundry? What about this deal? What about this friend? What about this kid? What about this ministry? What about this? What about that? What about that? And then if that's not enough, then there's the shame and the regret and the guilt and the what if and if I only woulda. Y'all, the distractions are destroying us. It's destroying our spiritual and our temporal lives. Distractions are killing us. Now look, I'm a follower of Jesus, right? I mean, I'm not out robbing banks, stealing cars, right? I'm not doing all those things. I'm a follower of Jesus. Shouldn't I have joy? Shouldn't I have peace? Shouldn't I have the things Christ had? I should. Shouldn't you? Shouldn't you have those things? I mean, Jesus was happy. Look, Luke 10:21, in that hour, Jesus rejoiced in the Spirit. That word rejoice, that's not just like, oh, yay, I'm happy. No. That rejoiced word there is in Greek, Agallino. It means leap for joy, overflowing, excited. Things are good, exuberant. Living your best life. Jesus was excited. He was also humble and kind and compassionate. I'm a follower of Jesus. Shouldn't I be kind, humble, compassionate, joyful, peaceful? Shouldn't we be? Are you a follower of Christ? And don't tell me Jesus wasn't busy. Don't tell me that, because let me tell you something. That brother was busier than we've ever thought about being busy. He had multitudes, thousands of people following him everywhere he went, just needing something from him. You thought your 4 kids was a lot. He's got thousands. Let me tell you about a day in the life of Jesus. Mark 1:21, he went to Capernaum, and immediately on the Sabbath, he entered the synagogue and he taught. Well, there's your morning service. They were astonished at his teaching. He taught them as one having authority, not as the scribes. And there was a man in his synagogue with an unclean spirit, and he cried out and, "Let us alone. What do you have to do with you, Jesus of Nazareth? Did you come here to destroy us? I know you are the Holy One of God." And Jesus rebuked him and said, "Be quiet and come out." Well, this wasn't an ordinary service. This is the one the devil showed up. And he kicked him out. And then the unclean spirit went out of him, and they all were amazed. And they were saying, "What new doctrine is this? And what authority does he command the unclean spirits?" And they obey him. And then immediately his fame spread throughout all of Galilee. And then as soon as he came out of the synagogue, he was probably tired, don't you think? He came out of the synagogue, and he went into the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. But Simon's wife's mother lay sick with a fever. So they came and said, Jesus, we're glad you're here. We need you to go and heal her. She's got a fever. We need to eat. We're hungry. So he laid his hands on her, and fever left, and so she got up and she fed them. And that wasn't enough, because then at evening when the sun went down and it got dark, they started bringing all these sick people to him and all these people that were demon-possessed. And the whole city was gathered at his door, and they were knocking, let us in, Jesus. So he healed many who were sick and they had various diseases, and he cast out the demons. And he didn't even allow the demons to speak because they knew him. Y'all, that is like an 18-hour day full of people that needed him. He was busy. And, you know, that's what it looks like in our lives. We're busy. Now, not only was Jesus busy, but he also got interrupted a lot when he was going from place to place. One day he was heading over to heal Jairus' daughter, who was very sick, and in the middle of that, this woman grabs his hem and stops him. And he turns, and he is kind and compassionate and loving and has a real conversation with her, and he heals her. One time he was out ministering, and they came and they told him that his very close friend Lazarus, was at home sick, about to die. Now, let me tell you what that looks like in my life. I'll just be real with y'all this morning. If you thought I was perfect, surprise, I'm not. Here's what that looks like in my life. I got a place to be. I got an appointment. I got a meeting. I got a movie about to start. We're supposed to be somewhere, and I am waiting patiently on everybody in my house to get in the car. And I'm ready, and we're already late. And now it's not only 5 minutes, but now it's 10 minutes late. Now we're 15, and here they come out the door, and they finally get in the car. And I'm like, thank God y'all finally got in the car, because we're going to be late. And we put it in reverse, and we back out the driveway, and I don't have my cell phone. You don't have what? You don't have your cell phone. Well, what were you doing for the past 45 minutes? Did you not know where we were going? Did you not know what time we were supposed to be there? I mean, am I the only one in this house that understands how a watch works? Now, I'm a follower of Jesus. I want to be kind. I want to be compassionate. I want to be loving. And maybe it's not your spouse or your kid that forgot their watch or forgot their jacket. Maybe it's the guy at the store that needs you to come talk to him for a second, to pray with him, to offer him a little bit of hope. Maybe it's the person at Walmart that's standing in line with you, and all you really want the cashier to do is hurry up, and all this person wants to do is talk. How dare them want to talk to you while you are at line at Walmart? Jesus just didn't get in a hurry, y'all. He didn't rush from place to place. He didn't have his cell phone with him in every room that he walked into. I'll be right there. I hear you, I'm coming. I hear you, yes, I'm coming. He didn't do that. That's not how he lived his life. So, how did he? How did he live his life? How was he able to stay joyful and patient and kind and compassionate and peaceful in all these situations? How did he do it? Matthew 11:28 tells us this: "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Don't you want rest? Don't you want rest for your souls? Are you tired of being exhausted? Are you tired of just making it through the day to sit on your couch and look blindly at the TV, not even really be alive? All with no energy to even talk to somebody about Jesus, much less look like him. Here's what he said in verse 29. He said, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest with your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Look, I don't want to be snapping at people. I don't want to snap at the people I love the most. I don't want every interruption just to set me off. I don't want to be exhausted every day. I mean, I haven't robbed a bank or stolen a car, but I've stolen somebody's peace. I've stolen people's joy. I've stolen an opportunity for them to hear about Jesus because I was too busy doing something else that I couldn't stop long enough to have a conversation. Jesus said, learn from me. Learn from me. Well, I want to learn from him, don't you? So here's what he said. Take my yoke. Now, if we look that word yoke up, let me just tell you what a yoke is. That's actually an idiom. So they lived in an agrarian society where agriculture was their main source of commerce. And so this would be very familiar to the people of that day. But a yoke is basically, you have two oxen, and there's this wooden bar that goes over the top of both of their necks, and it keeps them together so that they can walk together and plow the field. So the yoke was a tool. It was a piece of equipment. Jesus is saying to you, take my tools. Take my life. See what I do. Learn from me. Take the tools, my way of life, and you will find rest for your souls. He says, see how I live, and you'll have rest. The Amplified Bible defines it like this. Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden and overburdened. Anybody? I will give you rest. I will ease and relieve and refresh your souls. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me. I am gentle, humble in heart. You will find rest. Now listen to how they define rest right here. Relief. It's like a deep breath. Ease. Refreshment. Recreation. And blessed quiet for your souls. Doesn't that sound good? Y'all, we need the lifestyle of Jesus. We need his habits. We need to know what he did. I'll tell you a few things that he did. You might think Jesus had a boring life. He really didn't. If you read the Gospels, you'll find that Jesus was often hanging out with his friends, eating dinner, spending time together, having a glass of wine or two. He was loving on people. That's one thing that he was doing. He didn't run from place to place. He waited 3 days before he even went to go and raise Lazarus from the dead. He was not in a hurry. He was present in the moment. He was putting his cell phone down, so to speak, when he was with people. But the tool, the thing that made him able to be joyful and compassionate, the thing that we all need, y'all, the yoke. You want to know what it is? Do you? Jesus got baptized at the end of Matthew 3. And when he did, that was the beginning of his ministry. And the word tells us in Matthew 4:1 that Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. He actually stayed in that wilderness for 40 days. And when you look up that word wilderness, it is eramos, which is E-R-E-M-O-S. That word is defined as wilderness, deserted place, solitary place, or my personal favorite, quiet place. So Jesus went up and he got quiet with God before he began his ministry. And then do you remember that day that I told you about, that 18-hour day that was really probably a lot more 18-hour days? But the one 18-hour day I told you about in Mark 1, 34, 22 through 34. Well, Mark 1:35 says this, after that day, after that 18-hour day, now in the morning, having risen a long while before daylight, he went out and departed to a solitary place. And there he prayed. Jesus would often go to a solitary place. If you look at the time in Matthew when John the Baptist was killed and the disciples came and they told him about his friend John the Baptist who baptized him, who was the voice of the one crying in the wilderness to telling everybody Jesus is coming, the Messiah is coming. When Jesus heard it in verse 13, he departed from there by boat to a deserted, you got it, eremos, quiet place by himself. Excuse me. Mark 6:30, he took his disciples to the quiet place. When Jesus was making life choices, when he was deciding who the 12 disciples would be, the word tells us in Luke 6:12, it came to pass in those days he went out to the mountain to pray and continued all night in prayer to God. And when it was day, he called his disciples to himself. And that's when he appointed the 12 disciples. When Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane when he was making the decision, am I going to go to the cross? Or am I going to leave? Am I not going to do this? Am I going to bail? The word says he went a little farther and fell on his face. He left the disciples there and he went on up ahead by himself and he prayed to his Father. When he was on the cross, he prayed, y'all. He prayed for Peter. He prayed for us. Let me show you right here in Luke 5:17. However, the report went out concerning him all the more, and great multitudes came to hear and to be healed by him of all their infirmities. In other words, he was getting popular. He was getting busy. He was getting pulled from all directions. He was exhausted, physically tired. So he went himself often and withdrew into the quiet place and prayed. Let me ask you something. If Jesus, God in flesh, needed to go often to a quiet place, how much more do we, with our flesh and all of our stuff, need to go to a quiet place and be with God? I'm not talking about solitude where you're by yourself and you open yourself up to the devil. No, I'm talking about a quiet place where you meet God. How much more? The truth is, y'all, we all need a quiet place. This is where our soul is refueled. It's the refueling station for our soul. It's where we are refreshed and renewed and revitalized. It's where we get strength. It's where we get direction from God. It's where our soul can rest. Listen to me. The Word calls Jesus the bread of life. It says he's the living water. Well, I don't know if y'all, how much you read the Bible, but I would say you read it enough to recognize that they didn't cut off his arm and eat it like a chicken leg. Right? So he wasn't talking about physical food. What he's saying is, I'm the bread of life and the living water for your soul, for your spirit. And y'all, we need him more than we need anything else. Y'all may have heard a book by C.S. Lewis. It's called The Screwtape Letters. And he has a fictional character in there that is representative of the devil. And the devil Screwtape says that now listen to this, that he and his fellow demons are going to make the world a kingdom of noise in order to stop God's people from being effective. Now, that was a fictional book. But how true is it today in our world? There's so much noise in our minds. There's so much distraction. We can't even sit quiet and talk to God for 5 minutes, because when we're sitting there just trying to be quiet and we finally get the external to stop, the internal is just hollering at us. Remember those distractions I was talking about? 2,600 times plus a day you touch your phone. It actually says that a heavy user touches their phone 5,400 times a day. Social media, TV, music, games, constant. Why? Y'all, Jesus said that his yoke is easy. Easy. It is the easiest thing in the world to just sit there for a minute or stand there. It's easy. How hard is that? To just sit. To just sit and get quiet. It's not hard. What makes it hard is that we're not used to it. So we have to train our mind to shut off for a little bit, to be quiet, to just let me talk to God for a minute. Usually I can tell when I'm really ramped up or a lot of things are going on in my life, because I'll sit down to pray and it's just like constant things going on in my mind. And that's when I just start praying in the Spirit. I'm just going to pray in the Spirit until my mind submits. It needs to be quiet. I need to hear from God. Y'all, we need this. We need this. And listen to me, I'm going to be real honest with you right now. And, I mean, like it or not, you can just hear what I got to say. You're all sitting here, you're a captive audience. You're not taking your spiritual life seriously if you don't set aside some time to be with God. You're not. You're not being serious about it. You're playing church. You're playing religion. And I'm talking to me this morning. They told me one time when my kids were younger, and I have heard this before. I'm sure you've heard this before. Love is not spelled L-O-V-E. Love is spelled T-I-M-E. Time. That's how you spell love. The word tells us in Matthew 6:21 that where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. When I'm talking about treasure in this context, I'm not talking about money. The one resource that we have that we will never get more of is time. There are 24 hours in a day. I don't care how big of a fit you pitch. I don't care how much you pray, beg, borrow, or steal. You will get 24 hours in the day today and tomorrow. In fact, you lose a minute or some amount of seconds each day, and that's why you have to have leap year, but nonetheless, doesn't really matter. But 24 hours is what you get. Period. So that is your treasure. That's all you have. That's your treasure. And so he said, where your time is, that's really where your values are. That's really where your priorities are. You see why there were tears streaming down my face as I was laying there and God was saying, are those really your priorities? Are they really? Because where you put your time is what you really value. Paul puts it like this in Ephesians 5:15. He says, look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of your time. Making the best use of your time. Y'all, we are so busy with our life, hurrying from place to place, that we have run out of energy to do the one thing that is actually life-giving to our souls. The one thing that we need more than anything, we sit down to pray, and you know what sometimes happens? Being honest, fall asleep. Anybody ever done that? I have gotten up. I'm going to spend some time with God today. Of course, I don't have the lights on real bright because I wanted the mood to be, calm. This little lamp. Next thing I know, I'm snoring, waking myself up. We need this solitude. We need this time of God more than we need anything else. No phone, no TV, no social media. And y'all, we need to feel. We need to feel. Listen, you know why a lot of times people don't want to sit and get quiet? Because regret and shame and pain and sorrow and hurt. And so we don't want to sit there and feel the pain. I'd rather be on my phone mindlessly scrolling because I don't have to think about that person that hurt me. I don't have to think about that friend that let me down. I don't have to think about that broken promise I made. I don't have to think about all my mistakes. I can just see everybody's fake life on Facebook. Fake book. Fake book. Have you ever had a friend came home from a vacation and they're like, that was the worst thing that's ever happened to me. We fought the whole time. Our children were horrible. I was ready to get a divorce. And you're like, really? Man, y'all sure do look happy on Facebook. Happens all the time. But I was reminded this week of this really horrible day in the life of my family. It was horrible. It was the worst thing ever could happen. And we were at the hospital a couple of days later, still at the hospital, and I was sitting in the window, staring out the window, and I was like, God, why? Why did this happen? Why are we here? And he told me that day, and he reminded me yesterday of this very thing. He said, kids and adults need to learn to live through the pain and the sorrow of life. We need to learn how to feel the emotions of pain and sorrow. We cannot always be looking for an escape, something to take our minds off of it, because we don't want to feel the pain and the hurt and the regret. And if we keep on putting pillows up under our kids every time they fall and fixing all their problems and going and talking to the teacher and going and talking to the parent's friend and going and making everything okay with them, and they don't understand the disappointment of missing out on a team or losing a friendship or getting their heart broken, when it happens in the real world, they're not going to know how to deal with it. So they take pills and cut themselves and, God forbid, try to kill themselves. Because they don't know how to deal with pain. And a lot of adults don't know how to deal with pain because we spend so much time distracting ourselves from the pain until we just don't think about it anymore. And we put it over here in this thing, and then we post all these great pictures on Facebook because our life is perfect. And we're not dying inside. We have to learn to sit and let God heal us of the pain. He came to heal the brokenhearted, y'all. He came to give you directions for your life. But some of you are so busy doing so much stuff that you haven't even stopped to ask Him what you're actually supposed to be doing. You're so busy doing things you've got no business doing. You need to learn that no is a complete sentence. And I don't need a reason why. No, I can't do that this day. No, I can't do that tomorrow. No, I just can't. Why? No. Doesn't matter. No. A complete sentence. Your time is your treasure. Stop wasting it on things that God didn't tell you to do. Listen, the Word talks to us about abiding in Christ. Making Christ our abode. You know what your abode is? It's your home. your home. Make him your home. Give him your heart. Really give him your time. Give him your life. Distraction and busyness is the greatest threat to Christianity. Psalms 23:2 tells us this. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. He restores our soul, y'all. Stephen Covey wrote a bunch of books about being a good leader and that sort of thing. But he said this. He said, we achieve inner peace when our schedule aligns with our values. In other words, where our treasure is, our heart is there also. So, who gets your time? What gets your time? Does your schedule line up with your values? Let me tell you something. Time taken to pray is not time wasted. It is time rewarded. I have felt better this week laying in my bed, coughing or whatever, because I actually spent some real time with God. I made a decision. I had intention. And y'all, it's life-giving and it's life-changing. I'm going to read this to you again. I want you to think about this. Is this the life that you want? Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Use my tools, my way of life. Do it the Jesus way. Learn from me. I am gentle and lowly in heart. I'm compassionate and kind. I don't get in a hurry. I don't snap at my family. And you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Y'all, if we'll do this, our reward is rest. Restful soul, energetic, life-giving, an abundant and joyful life. The thief, John 10:10, we're the church of the 10:10, right? The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. Give me that in that chair, my phone. Just give me yours. This one really is the devil. This is the thief. It's stealing your time. Stealing your time. It's stealing your time with yourself and your God, your family, your kids, your relationships. How many times on a date with your spouse do you check your phone? How many times do you look around the dinner table and everybody's on the devil? It's killing us, y'all. It's stealing what we love. I don't want to wake up one day and be on my deathbed and go, God, I wish I would have spent more time with the people that I love. Thank you. Jesus said, but I come that you may have life and that you may have it more abundantly. Y'all, life with God is a great life. Jesus was joyful, peaceful, pleasant to be around. People came to him. You know why? Not because he was hateful and ornery. Y'all all know people like that. You want to stay far away from them. I mean, some folks just aren't morning people. And if I know those folks, I avoid them in the mornings. Right? Right? But when someone's loving and kind and compassionate, it draws people to them. So we know that's who Christ was. That's the life I want. Isn't it the life you want? Y'all stand. Look, you don't got to feel bad about yesterday or last month or last year or your whole life, because I'm telling you right now, I was laying in that bed and I was tears pouring down my face and I was just crying. I was like, God, I wish. I'm sorry. Wish I could do it different. I wish I could change it. And he said, use that regret and that feeling of sadness and pain that you have right now to choose to do it differently. You can start right now. You can make a decision today. I'm going to live differently. I'm going to live purposely. I'm going to do things intentionally. Only you can do it, though. Only you can choose how you live your life. That's the great thing about God. He gives us free will. And he says, if you want to do all that, you do what you want to do. You be you, boo. But if you want a better life, if you want a life of joy and peace and laughter and hope and purpose, just try it my way. Just try it my way. Everybody just close your eyes right now. If that's you, if you say, you know what, I want to try it God's way. I want to do it His way. Just lift your hand. I want to do it differently. Oh, God, you see the hands in this place, God. We want to do it differently. I got 2 hands lifted because I want to do it differently, God. I want to walk differently. I'm a follower of Jesus, which means I want to actually be like Christ. So, God, empower us. Help us. Give us the courage and the faith, the strength to walk the Jesus way, Lord. Let us be compassionate to our neighbors and our friends and the strangers that we meet. Lord, let us be compassionate to our loved ones, our spouses, and our children. Forgive us of all the times we've done it wrong. And God, show us how to do it right. We love you so much. We lift you up in this place, God. We thank you for every miracle, the miracle of the new birth. Everything you've done in our lives to this moment and everything you will do from this moment forward. God, we thank you for that. We trust you. You are faithful. You've never let us down, and you're not going to start now. So we thank you right now, God, in advance. We love you so much. It's in Christ's name we pray. Amen. We're going to sing a song, Spirit Lead Me.